This some bull crap. I mean, let's be honest, dog. What are we talking about? I mean, you're talking about a team that was the worst run franchise in the NFL. All right, so what? And we're having discussions about whether hats worn backwards or not. I mean,
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today on this Top Shelf Tuesday edition, Captain for Life, Will Cotton. Will, how are you post-party festivities?
I'm surprised I made it, but I'm here. Let's get it on.
All right. Our favorite team leader, Mike King. Mike, good to see you on this Top Shelf Tuesday edition.
Ready to talk NFL?
All right. And academic and athletic consultant for the CKA Save Project and Dallas Cowboy aficionado, George Ocker. George, how are you, sir?
yeah, don't start on me already, but I'm good today. I'm good today. Good today.
All right. In segment one, we're going to talk about players and teams ready to take the next step, possibly. Segment two, coaches who are on the hot seat going into the season, thanks to our friends at CBS Sports. And segment three, only the NFL can possibly bring the political parties together. Maybe. But first, let's talk about some players and some teams ready to take the next step. I want to talk about Trevor Lawrence. So, Will, Jacksonville is over and under 8.5 wins. We'll talk about that later. But Trevor Lawrence may have just signed the biggest contract in Jacksonville Jaguars history, but his job is still the same. He led the Jaguars to an AFC South title in 2022. He came back from a 27-0 deficit to beat the Chargers, led the Jags to an 8-3 start before some injuries, and they say that first year shouldn't count because of Urban Meyer. Will, is Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars ready to take that next step?
I don't think so. I think they're still just a good team who's still finding that consistent playoff, entry. They're not a perennial kind of team that's like, hey, we're in the playoff. Let's start planning for the Super Bowl. No, they're still trying to figure out the formula to get to the playoffs every year. Don't get me wrong. The kid it's funny because he made a lot of money, and then he also came back and said, "Oh, well, I saved some money on the table so that we don't with the cable, the cupboards aren't bare, and we can still win." And da 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 da. I'm like, brother, you all right? Tell us what you got to do. Tell us whatever. I don't think they're ready. At best, they can win the division, maybe win the wild card, but I don't think they're ready to go like second weekend of the playoffs. But that's just what it is. They're just okay unless something happens. Now they got Calvin Ridley. Nothing worked. It didn't work with him. So we'll see if the new receivers, wide receiver core can provide that boost that they need. But I think they're just basically at best they win the division and they play the first week for the playoffs. That's about it.
All right, George, Caleb Williams. Chicago's over-under is 8.5 wins. The Bears traded Justin Fields to Pittsburgh, guaranteeing that they're going to take Caleb number one. Caleb's situation is atypical. The Bears are coming off a 7-10 season, and they had the number one pick. They added Pro Bowl receiver Keenan Allen. They added running back DeAndre Swift. They had a good draft with the Rome kid. The Bears also led the NFL in rushing defense last year. So with all of that, George, Caleb ready to take the Bears to the next step?
We'll see, man. I mean, it's he's coming up in a bad situation because it's a bad division for a young quarterback to be in right now. You have Detroit, who went deep in the playoffs last year. Got almost everybody coming back. You have the Packers on the rise. I don't know what the hell they're thinking about in Minnesota, but in that same sentence, you got those two teams in front of you. It's going to be tough for them. They're going to be better next year. But it's better going to get them in the playoffs. And I don't see, do you see three teams from that division getting in the playoffs next year? It's a tough call. They're right there. We'll see, and a lot of it's going to hinge on the year Caleb has. I mean, if Caleb comes in and pulls pulls rookie magic,
RG3. He pulls
yeah,
an RG3 here.
if he pulls RG3 year, or even your boy from Houston's year, if he pulls one of those,
Right.
they'll be, they're going to be right there and have something to say. It'll be about whether they have something to say, and then as usual, make sure everybody stays healthy. So we'll see, but it's a tough division because you got two young teams ahead of you also who are on the rise right now. So it's going to be it's a tough hurdle for them.
All right. So, Mike, you're our team leader. I want to talk to you about a team that get your thoughts on if they're ready to take the next step, and that's the New England Patriots. The over-under is 4.5, but they signed a lot of their own players back. They hired Jared Mayo, who was already in the organization. They are looking to draft and develop their own players. So, Mike, are we underselling what the Patriots are doing in regards to them really internalizing their own things in this offseason? What do you think? Can the Patriots take the next step?
When you re-sign your own players and your own players aren't very good, then you stay. Their over-under is 4.5 for a reason. So yeah, they re-signed the running back who was better when he was part of like a group of running backs. He did really well when he wasn't the starter. Then he was a starter last year, and every number he had went down, and he got hurt. So, and your quarterback is a question mark, like all rookie quarterbacks in many ways. Really, it comes down to that. If quarterback works, then that this will be a good year. But if he stinks, the team stinks. So
He will stink.
and he's probably going to stink. And then at the end of the year, people could be like, "Oh no, what have we done?" And as a team with a quarterback who didn't do what he was supposed to do, and then you just live in it, and it's not a good place to be in. That's where they are.
But I'd say this though, they're in a better position than anybody else we discussed because they were already in the basement. So
right,
cleaning
the basement up.
Can't do nothing but go up.
All right. And I want everybody's opinion on this one as we end segment one. The Washington Commanders. And no, we didn't call Bobby in for this one. Washington Commanders over under 6.5. And one of the things that came across the wire this past week that got my attention was the fact that Dan Quinn doesn't care how you wear your hat. And apparently Eric Bieniemy did. So now you can wear your hats any way you want. Eric Bieniemy had an issue with offensive players wearing their hats backwards. But it's these types of things that have been embraced by the players, and maybe they can move up the food chain. Everything we've heard about Jaden Daniels has been positive. So I'm going to start with you, Will. Closet, Washington Commanders fan. Are they ready to take the next step? What say you, sir?
I don't know. I mean, it's very positive. It's definitely very positive. I remember I used to work with a boss who was very tight on things and very, you got to be here. And during the pandemic, he was like, you got to be here 2 days a week and da 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 da. And he got the minimal of And my new job, it was very more loose and do things when you could and take care of things. You got a team, and they got a lot better from me. They get stuff where I'll do 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. I'll jump on, do some things. So they have a better William Cotton, you know what I'm saying? And it's little things like that that makes you want to be in the office or be in the building. If you have somebody who's pushing you and, always talking da 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 da, you don't want to be in the office. You do your office, you leave the work, you go home, you're never worried about it. But if you're in a real family situation, then you can go in there and you can be like, oh man, well, shoot, I got extra hours. Oh, I got 2 hours. I can hang out, da 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 da. I don't think it'll result this year, but I think those culture changes will happen, and I think it'll get better because, again, you'll have guys in the building more. You'll have guys who want to be here. You'll have guys who are happy when they're in the building. So there's small things now, not big right now, but the small things that will build up and create great foundation. So I think it's one of the small things that no one will notice. But I think when you look down the line, you'll be like, man, that was one of the change of the culture changes that kind of turned the boat for the Commanders. So we'll see what happens. But small things that happen. So I'm for it. I wear my hat backwards. Let's do it.
All right, Mike King, you're a Giants fan, but when you hear things like this, what are you thinking, sir?
I don't think it matters much. In the end, it's, do you have good players? Do the players win? Because this will be one of the things they talk about if you're good, and if you're bad, it'll be something that's not even mentioned, and it's he's a bad coach, right? Like that's what this is. This is just something for people to potentially say, oh, he changed the. If he was so good at changing cultures, he wouldn't have been fired the first job. Right? In the end, does the quarterback work out? The first job, he had Matt Ryan, so he's able to stay a few years. This time, we'll see if Jaden Daniels is could be that. If he can, then this hat backwards wearing coach will do great, and if not, he'll be gone in 2 years making Monty Williams money.
But he'll be comfortable with his hat on backwards.
But it'll
George,
we'll have a big paycheck.
finish off segment 1, sir. Is this a big deal, little deal, or no deal? What do you think, George?
This some bull crap. I mean, let's be honest, dog. What are we talking about? I mean, you're talking about a team that was the worst run franchise in the NFL. All right, so what? And we're having discussions about whether hats worn backwards or not. I mean, look, I could care less. It doesn't even matter. And I'm not even talking about how you measure success. Measuring success with them is staying off the front page of the Washington Post this year. That's what it is.
All right, so fans, when we get back, thanks to our friends at CBS Sports, we're going to talk about coaches potentially on the hot seat. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student-athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Folarin Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
He's
We're
a
back.
glorified offensive
Welcome back
coordinator.
to the
Hey, look, watch
Coaches
it.
Podcast. In segment
same
2,
word in
we're going to
UCLA,
talk
same
about
thing.
coaches on the hot seat. Jeff, post in between segment stuff. All right. So CBS Sports Line gave us a list of coaches on the hot seat. And I'm going to go around the horn, so to speak, and see if you agree or disagree if this coach should be on the hot seat or not. And first of all, Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills. He is in his 8th season. Record is 73-41. Playoff record is 5-6. Should he be on the hot seat? What say you, sir?
Inshallah, Sean McDermott, the guy who was talking about 9/11 terrorists, and they were like, oh, they were together, and that's how they did what they had to do. Man, I give them this year at best. I don't think they make the playoffs. I think they're a team that's like they're faking it. They're not good. They just have Josh Allen, and that makes it easy, but they're not good. They haven't done anything that makes me be like, man, they're going to win Super Bowl. I give them this year, and if they're gracious, they give another. But, yeah, he's definitely on the hot seat.
All right, George. Todd Bowles of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, year 3. Record is 17-17. Playoff record 1-2. Hot seat or not?
I don't know if he's really on the hot seat as long as you're in that dumpster fire that's the AFC South, dog. Because he keeps coming out as being the best team. Like last year, he came out being the best team in there, and they made the NFC Championship game. So we'll see what happens this year. I think this is a really we'll see year. If there's a team in the AFC South that makes, NFC South that makes significant strides and separates themselves from a bunch of bad teams, then he probably will. But he wins the division again. But how you gonna fire him? I mean, especially he's making the playoffs with Baker Mayfield as quarterback. That's a miracle in itself. That's like walking on water. So
all right, Mike King, Nick Sirianni of the Philadelphia Eagles, year 4. Record is 34-17. Playoffs is 2-3. Should he be on the hot seat?
You get a small window where you've got this great team. In the NFL, it's hard to have, the best talents for 10 years. Very few teams could do it. So if you're screwing up this window, then you get on the hot seat. And in Philadelphia, a lot of people, a lot of places, they're wondering if he should get another chance if this year's a disaster. Last year it fell apart. I think he's legitimately on the hot seat. If the way last year ended is how this year goes, I think they look around the roster and go, this team's way too talented to not win the Super Bowl. This would be very bad if this window closes without one. We got to find someone. And when you act like he does, because he's the biggest clown in coaching across the sports, when things are going great, they're going great. When things are going terrible, they go terrible. There is no in the middle. He had his great, and he's about to find the terrible, and I can't wait. I hate this person. What a piece of crap.
Okay.
Hey, they gotta figure out if he can't figure out what's going on in that locker room, because we talk about it all the time.
I don't think he cares.
Something bad wrong in that locker room. So
as soon as they end practice, he goes home. He ain't worried about
he might not make it the season if he don't figure out what's going on in the locker room.
George, I'm going to stay with you because you're going to give us an honest assessment. Mike McCarthy, Dallas Cowboys, year 5. His record is 42-25. Playoff record 1-3. George, should he be on the hot seat?
He shouldn't be here this year. That's all I got to say. But he shouldn't have made it to this year.
He was on the hot seat. Hot seat. What you mean? They were talking about for Belichick already last season.
he shouldn't have a job this year. So I'm gonna just leave it like that.
All right. Will, Matt Eberflus for the Bears, year 3. His record is 10-24. No playoffs. Should he be on the hot seat?
It's warm. He's on Caleb Williams. So I don't see, if Caleb Williams ball, Eberflus does well. If he doesn't he's gonna get fired. I think he's gonna be on the ladder. I think he's gonna end up losing his job. They'll find a coach who Caleb Williams likes. He didn't know the offense. They'll blame him. It's short, man. It's short, and he doesn't have a lot of long leash either. Because, like George said, you're going against Detroit, who's in their prime right now. You're going against the Green Packers, who actually passed them in terms of what they're going for their organization. So you're asking a lot, and again, you're already 10 for 24. It's hard to believe that you're here, waste any more time with Caleb Williams. I think he has a bad season. And then they go out and they do a strictly for a Caleb Williams coach, and they'll move forward. But yeah, I don't think he has it. He's on the hot seat.
I think that's a tricky call. It's a tough move because you got a rookie quarterback, so you don't want to keep flipping coaches on them. By drafting Caleb Williams, Eberflus might have got himself an extra year, but we'll see. We'll see. I hear what Will's saying.
George, I'm going to stay with you because we're going to close with Mike King for obvious reasons. Dennis Allen, New Orleans Saints, year 3, record is 16-18. Playoffs are non-existent. What do you think, sir?
Yeah, definitely, because he was the heir apparent. Supposedly, the guys were all comfortable with him. They had everything lined up for him because it's a weak division. He had a lot of players back, but then you got Derek Carr. So I mean, it's a boomer bust there. But yeah, he definitely that's definitely gonna have a regime change down there. It'll probably be some major changes down there if they don't get it done this year.
He's keeping the seat warm. He ain't gonna be there. He's just keeping the seat warm.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Mike King. We're going to start with Brian Daboll of the New York Giants. Year 3, his record is 15, 18-1. Playoffs 1-1. Should he be on the hot seat, Mr. King? The floor is yours.
No, and I don't think he actually is because Mara likes him, and I don't think Mara wants to go through another coach. I think he really wants to make this work. Plus, he didn't get to the coach or the GM didn't pick the quarterback. So this year's a disaster. They're going to let the two of them pick a quarterback, and they're going to get a whole new window. So I think he's got 2 to 3 more years. I think he's safer than anyone on this list.
All right. And finally, sir, Robert Saleh, New York Jets. Year 4, record is 18-33 and no playoffs. But hey, got Aaron frickin' Rodgers. What say you, sir?
So I'm looking at his playoff record, and it's non-existent. And he's in year 4. And all the coaches that we just went over, none of them have been through year 4 without the playoffs. So I don't even know how it's questioned. They stink every year. Every year they start the season with, Super Bowl. And every year they stink. So he should be gone. His seat should be the hottest, really, of anyone on the list. Because if they don't do it this year, there's 0 chance he stays. So his seat's not hot. His seat, he's got like the Home Alone thing where they put the doorknob. It's burning. His seat is as warm could be. If Aaron Rodgers gets a hangnail, he's gone. That's all he's got.
Yeah, if they suck this year, it's gonna look like Hiroshima down there. They're gonna blow the whole damn thing. They're gonna blow the whole thing up. They need to.
Okay, so in segment 3, historical references, we're gonna see if politics can come together to try to get an NFL team to Kansas. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 3. They say politics make strange bedfellows. Kansas's Governor Laura Kelly signed legislation last week enabling the state to lure the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs and Major League Baseball's Kansas City Royals away from neighboring Missouri by helping the teams pay for new stadiums, even though stadiums don't make money historically. Anyway, so the actions came a few days after the Republican-led legislator approved the measure with bipartisan support in an unusually quick turnaround. Mike, this is politics, but they're trying to lure the Kansas City Chiefs and the Kansas City Royals over to the Kansas side of Kansas City. What are you thinking about politics and people coming together for a football and baseball team?
Well, we saw it with Commanders, how quickly Virginia was like, we'll take them. the stadium itself, I don't think is a good thing. It's just traffic and pain in the neck. But then the team, you get some of that the joy of having the team there. It's in your state. But in the end, I don't think that matters. Giants and Jets are in New Jersey, and no one considers them New Jersey teams. It's just the land's cheaper, right? So like for that part of it, who cares? For the politics part, I mean, nothing will get people together, Democrat or Republican, more than votes. And if they think that this is what the people in the state want, then this is a no-brainer. Plus, as we know, those of us that teach this stuff or pay attention to this stuff, they're all friends anyway. They just pretend to hate each other to split us up, the voter. They're best buddies, every one of them. So, yeah, that Republican led legislature and the governor, I'm sure behind closed doors, they couldn't be friendlier.
Okay. George, I'm going to you. Tight end U. Your boy Dak Prescott made an appearance at Tight End U, which is where the NFL tight ends get together. They do drills. They bring each other together. What do you think about Dak Prescott going to Tight End U, saying some kind words to tight ends about how they're the quarterback's best friend, and the concept of Tight End U in the first place? What are your thoughts on that, sir?
Anything to make money. What are you talking the concept? Shoot, it's going to make money, and we're talking about it. So, and you got some of the top tight ends in the country there. I saw Greg Olson. You had a bunch of the guys that had just retired or whatever out there working kids out. So, it is what it is. And with Dak, this is Dak's little around the circuit tour. Dak knows he's getting ready to get one of the biggest bags known in the history of NFL football. He deserves it. He's probably going to wind up being the modern day what's my man that's now the Falcons quarterback?
Kirk Cousins.
He about to be the modern day Kirk Cousins out of this whole situation.
He's been the black Kirk Cousins for the longest time.
And very happy. Because Dak's going to reset the market. Another dumb move the Cowboys let happen. But hey, whatever. I mean, I'm with Dak, man. Get your money. Go get your money.
Bag.
Because you can take the crazy thing about it is you can take Dak's stats and put them up against anybody's right now, and he's still going to come up. He's going to come up looking like a world beater. So, do your thing, Dak. Get your money. I'm not mad at him. He needs to, especially with that franchise down there. Anyway, so yeah, it's a money grab, it's a publicity grab, and it works out for both ends.
All right. Will, I'm going to close with you. An overinflated sense of one's self-worth in the marketplace, Lonnie Phelps. Cleveland Browns defensive end Lonnie Phelps was charged with drunk driving last week after police say he crashed his SUV into a Florida restaurant. He also faces charges for damaging property following the incident. The Browns waived him last week. Phelps was 23. Who was 23, was taken into custody. Will, of my disdain for the offseason.
Loves it.
How do you get involved in this type of foolishness? How do you mess your money up? Talk to me, man.
Thinking you're bigger than you are. Thinking that just because you have the shield or the Cleveland Browns logo on, you think you're bigger than you are, and you're thinking that you can do what you want, and be responsible. I mean, the man had $300K worth of damages. I mean, that would have been, I can't even talk the percentage that you would have gotten an Uber or a Lyft. And the NFL provide those things. I don't know how these people are still getting DUIs and doing that. I know, I get it. You got a nice SUV, picking up ladies, but like, come on, man. Like, it must be from the era, because I ain't doing that. If somebody's like, look, we paying for your Uber, we paying for this, we paying for that, don't drive. I'm like, man, we out here. Even if I leave the car, we out here. So, I mean, it's unfortunate. Again, I've been 23 before, so I know what it's like. I hope he gets another chance. But it's just stupidness. And like you said, Coach, gotta love the offseason. Gotta love it. Always interesting.
Hey, I'm gonna give Lonnie a pass here, and because he's probably dealing with some emotional situation. He plays for Cleveland. He's got
Now,
to
what you
spend.
doing out? What you doing? What you doing out at night on Cleveland? Ain't nothing to be out that late in
He
Cleveland.
was not in
Go home.
Cleveland. I believe he was in Florida.
Yeah, he plays for
yeah.
See, he played for Cleveland, and you get the chance to
He
go
was
to
in Key
Florida.
West, if I'm not mistaken.
You get a chance to go to Key West, and then and get the vacation time in, and you got to go. In a couple months, you got a couple weeks, really. You got to report back to Cleveland.
Well, he won't have to worry about going to Cleveland anymore.
He was good until he hit a restaurant, which is a building. How do you hit a building? I mean,
he gonna blame the girls. He gonna blame the girls for spiking his drink. So anyway,
Okay.
he should have been at Tesla and said it drove me into the building. That's what he should have told him.
All right, so to close, in the Find the Balance book, I spend a chapter talking about our Stay Connected tips to increase success. 9 different items we talk about, but today I want to talk about dreaming big. Having big goals and dreams is vital to success, and I, for one, continue to have big goals and dreams, including this entire podcast network with all of these great people I get to talk to. And this takes me to the United Football League. Now that the UFL season has completed, congrats to the Birmingham Stallions for winning their 3rd consecutive spring football championship. A lot of these players have already signed with NFL teams, and more will make training camp rosters. So on behalf of the CKA Save Project and the OCP, go get them. Go get that money. Go get on the rosters. Try not to drive in Florida drunk or whatever. But again, man, keep chasing your dreams. And on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. And we'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.